You know this flower. During the holidays, it's everywhere, right? This spectacular bloom. We buy it, we gift it, we call it the Amaryllis. But what if I told you this beautiful plant is basically living a double life, caught in a centuries-old case of mistaken identity? Let's put on our detective hats and get to the root of this botanical mystery. Okay, I know what you're thinking. That's a bold question. But the flower you've always known as Amaryllis, it might not be an amaryllis at all. So today, we are going to play botanical detective and finally get to the bottom of what's going on with one of the world's most popular flowers. And here it is, the star of our show. It's big, it's bold, and you've seen it in pretty much every holiday promotion ever. But yeah, this plant is hiding a secret, right in plain sight. And to solve this whole case, we've got to learn its real name.
So the real scientific name for the flower we all call amaryllis is, drumroll please, Hippeastrum. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's a grand name, and trust me, it unlocks a much more interesting story.
All right, so what in the world is a Hippeastrum? Well, it's a whole genus of bulbous plants, and it's got a huge family. We're talking over 100 different species, and they're all native to the tropical and subtropical Americas, so think Mexico all the way down to Argentina.
So let's break this plant down. Look at its anatomy. It's got that big, fleshy bulb that stores up energy, these long, strap-like leaves, and a tall, elegant flower stem. Now, I want you to pay close attention to that stem. It's also called a scape. See? It's hollow. And that little detail, that is a huge clue in our mystery. Remember that.
And just to give you a sense of scale here, this is a seriously impressive plant. The genus is massive, right? Over 100 wild species. But through cultivation, we now have over 600 different hybrids. And those flowers? They can be up to 20 centimeters across. This is no wallflower.
So how did this whole mix-up even happen? How did we get it so wrong for so long? Well, it's a botanical drama that spans 2 continents and more than 200 years. And it's time to meet the other major player in this story, the real Amaryllis.
Okay, and right here you can see the very heart of the confusion laid out side by side. On the left, you've got our Hippeastrum from the Americas with its hollow flower stem. Remember that hollow stem? And on the right, the true Amaryllis from South Africa, and it has a solid flower stem. Different continents, totally different stems, yet for the longest time, botanists just lumped them all together.
And you can see this confusion right there in the history books. I mean, look at this beautiful 19th century illustration. It's clearly a Hippeastrum, right? But it was labeled Amaryllis. This just goes to show how deep this mistake went. Even the experts were getting it wrong.
And you know what? The plot thickens, because even after it got its own proper name, Hippeastrum, it created a whole new mystery. Botanists just could not agree on what the name was even supposed to mean.
So the name itself comes from 2 ancient Greek words, Hippeus, for a mounted knight, and astron, for star. So Hippeastrum literally translates to knight's star, which is a pretty epic name for a flower, right? But what does that even mean? Well, 2 competing theories popped up. Okay, theory number 1. This comes from William Curtis way back in 1795. He suggested the name is all about the knight's horse. He argued that those 2 little leaves at the top of the stem, they stick up like a horse's ears. So he thought the whole flower looked kind of like a horse's head. But then, just a few years later, another botanist, John Sims, comes along and says, hold on a second, I don't see a horse. He argued that if you look at the flower straight on, its 6-pointed shape looks exactly like one of those star-shaped medals that you'd award to an order of knights. You know, a knight's star, as in a medal of honor. So which is it? A horse or a medal? The debate was on. You gotta love it. This kind of passionate debate is just classic botany. But eventually, scientists had to step in and make a final ruling on that original Amaryllis versus Hippeastrum confusion. I mean, this was a taxonomic tug-of-war that went on for more than 200 years. It all started back in 1753 when the famous botanist Linnaeus just kind of threw them all together. Then, in 1821, William Herbert said, nope, they're different, and he created the name Hippeastrum. But then the debate flared up again in 1938. It actually wasn't until 1987 that an International Botanical Congress finally put their foot down and settled it once and for all.
And the verdict? It was crystal clear. The name Amaryllis officially belongs to the South African plant, and our beloved holiday flower, the one from the Americas, is officially
and scientifically, a Hippeastrum. Boom, case closed.
Okay, so the science is settled, right? But that brings us back to today. We know its real identity now, but what does that actually mean for that beautiful plant sitting on your windowsill right now? Well, the answer really just comes down to tradition. You see, the name Amaryllis was used for so long by gardeners, by collectors, by everybody, that it just stuck. It became the common name, even after the scientists decided on a different one. It's really a perfect example of how culture and science can tell two totally different stories about the exact same thing.
And our love for this plant, no matter what we call it, has led to this just incredible explosion of creativity. Breeders took the original wild species and have since created over 600 different hybrids and cultivars. And honestly, each one seems more spectacular than the last.
I mean, just look at what they've been able to do. These stunning combos, they're not just happy accidents of nature. No, they are the result of decades of super passionate work by people who saw the amazing potential in this flower and just ran with it.
And the creativity didn't just stop with the colors. Breeders have also been playing with the very shape of the flower, developing everything from that classic star we all know and love to these more exotic, almost spider-like blooms.
And that's what's so amazing, right? Every single one of these unique flowers is like a living piece of art, a testament to human creativity. And it's all inspired by a plant that has this really complicated past, but a present that is, undeniably beautiful.
So there you have it. You're in on the secret now. You know its real name is Hippeastrum, the night star, but you also get why pretty much everyone still calls it Amaryllis. So the next time you see one, the real question isn't just what you're going to call it, but what story you'll see blooming inside.